TSM don't suck, and in today's video I'm going to show you why. They could have beaten Faze clan today in their match on Haven, and I'm going to talk about specific weaknesses and refinements to their gameplay they can do to go ahead and improve themselves as a team, okay? So with that being said, let's get right into it. The problems they had on Haven were that they had really weak B retakes. I think that we really need to talk about the strategy behind B retakes a little bit more, and also the understanding of how important A lobby control was, since they weren't really fighting for it and we were kind of just sitting back on site, right? So we're going to talk about that, as well as a little thing that might seem ridiculous, but they weren't breaking traps, which might not seem like a big deal, but Faze were realizing they weren't breaking traps, and they would just trap B on Haven, for instance, and Garage, and leave it completely open and just stack on site. So when TSM decided to, let's say, hit C or hit A, they were fully stacked on that site, and they had the information they needed to make sure that they could stack on that site. So TSM really need to understand that breaking traps, they can't skip steps, and they need to break traps to go ahead and create more space on the map, as well as more openings, right? So let's go ahead and get right into why I think their B retakes are weak. So I'm going to go ahead and play out the clip really quickly to give you context. Faze clan just planted on B, and TSM are just 4-man retaking through site. So I'm going to go ahead and play out the clip here, and you'll see that TSM are just getting sprayed through a smoke, and they're just trying to defuse in the smoke. That's not how you retake the site. It's very RNG. There was one case that C9 did where they actually body blocked some of the bullets, and they actually managed to get the defuse, but it is a 90% chance that you won't get this diffuse if you play like this and you just try and 50-50 it with hoping that they miss their shots and trying to catch them in between reloads, right? So I'm going to talk about a more level-headed more like a level ground way of taking these fights to make sure that you don't end up in this scenario where you're in a tight choke point just getting sprayed, as you just saw in this clip, right? So let's go ahead and head over to Valorant, and I'm going to talk about the scenario. I'm just going to put up back the scenario just the way it was. So Faze clan did plant on B here, and what TSM could have done here is a lot of teams like to go ahead and fight for A lobby control. You'll see V1, for instance, sometimes they'll flank from, if they're planning to retake B, they'll flank from C long, and they'll just walk down and come behind to clear grass, right? So that they can't play for util, right? Meaning that whenever they clear grass here, they can't play for mollies, they can't play for just stall, just sprays. And then on top of it too, whenever they're doing these type of retakes, not just V1 but many teams, is number one thing, obviously I'm going to go ahead and erase here, and I'm going to go ahead and move the smoke to, they'll smoke the front side of B, and they'll have one person tap the bomb after they clear site, right? So assuming obviously that you do have the information, and in this scenario, you saw Breach was hiding backside in that clip at the start, they had the information that no one was on B. So assuming that they do come from garage, majority come from garage or from behind them on A, that means that all the players that are playing in grass can't just be shooting, 4-man shooting through a tiny choke here, right? Onto the bomb, right? On top of that too, you guys won't see it here because Faze clan don't do it, TSM do, but you can actually put a one-way smoke on top of the site, that covers the bomb, so whoever tries to defuse can't see anything because their head is in the smoke, right? So as a result of this, there's so much utility and so much just spray that you can just that just hits you basically in the front side of B, that you don't want to just 4-man just go into a firing squad, right, and try and do that. Strategically, that's just stupid. I'm going to be honest with you, that's just stupid, and TSM should have done better. But I want to go ahead and talk about here, let's say they do have A lobby control and they do flank. Even if they don't, this is not a surefire way by any means. Even though I'm saying it's strategically better, it's not a surefire way of winning and retaking B, right? It's just a little bit more level field because you get to take more advantageous fights since you're not in in a firing squad and just getting sprayed through the smokes, as well as let's say when you do tap the bomb here and the front side of B is smoked, right? So let's go ahead and think about it. So front side of B is smoked, Breach taps the bomb, and let's say the rest of the team, I'm going to go ahead and move them, is behind them, right? Here, they flip the map. That means that if they're trying to spray right now, their first shot accuracy, whatever, it's messed up, right? Because they're in the middle of a spray. They don't have first shot accuracy, right? And as a result of this too, they're giving away their position, meaning that let's say Breach wants to help and flashes out here, they can swing off the flash and then try and plan their retake that way, right? And he can assist them as well, right? So it's much better to like try and like kind of like pinch them in and cluster them in when they're playing on B, especially if they're backing off and going all grass, because you cannot just sit in the front of B. You need to identify this, and in the moment you need to fight it, and you need to like take space back. So let's go ahead and talk about what I mean by that. So let's say you know that they are all grass, and you come out like it doesn't have to be from behind them like A lobby. It can be from C link, sorry, not C link, C long. It can be from garage, anything like this, right? Like it just needs to be a proactive play where you're not just getting shot at. So let's go ahead and move on to what I think another problem was, which was the traps. The reason why the traps were a huge problem, I'm going to go ahead and play it out here. And another thing, it's important to point this out too. So this is Faze on defense now. Same scenario. Faze is on defense. And with Astra, I want you guys to think about something. Look at their setup. They have the chamber trip here, and they have an Astra star here. Why do you think they have that, right? So whenever if they try to hit B, right, they can go ahead and B. Chamber has his TP here for A link as well. They get pulled, or if they try to hit B and plant, they get pulled. Even if they don't try to plant, they get pulled on the trip. They're slowed by 50% for 10 seconds. On top of that too, they're vulnerable, right, because of the Astra pull. It kind of guarantees that Astra pull, right, since they're slowed by 50% for 10 seconds by the chamber slow. So as a result of this, let's say they do end up going B, which is not what they do in this clip. Faze's strategy is basically that they will have players in in C and A link here, and they'll be in line of sight of both of them. And even if they're smoked off right now, they'll be able to go ahead and guarantee a spray here. And they're vulnerable as well, meaning they take double damage from Astra's pull, and they're in a chamber slow. So they just need to hit him with like 2 bullets from a phantom basically. And even like, for instance, let's say Sova's here, right? It's like 1 shock dart, right? Since vulnerable doubles the damage, shock dart has been nerfed and now does 75 damage, not 90 anymore, but it's still a 1-shot basically if they're vulnerable, right? So there's a lot of chip damage there, and it's very hard to go ahead and take B. They kind of have to bait that pull, but at the same time, TSM has it went into double overtime. TSM played nearly like 27 rounds this game. And as a result of this, they need to break trips. But if they see a star here, it should be a dead giveaway, since they saw it, that there's a chamber trip there. That star is just not awkwardly placed there for no reason, right? There's a chamber trip there, and Sova either shock darts it, which is what a lot of teams do on Icebox. You'll see a lot of Sovas in spawn on attack having a shock dart lineup for kitchen, right? For the trip in kitchen. This is something that TSM is really missing, because as a result of this, like them not having this, they're always stacked on the site that they're hitting, because they know that there's no reason to, there's no space that's being threatened there. They can't be in garage, they can't be in B, or wherever they put their trips, right? So TSM really need to fix this. And this is the other thing. I just want to show you like an example of like why I think A lobby control is so important. TSM needs to understand that A lobby control is so important. If Chambers here, he's probably not alone, right? Like, they're pushed up right now. They have control of A lobby. He's kind of baiting for his jet, and they need to expect this. They have their knives out. They have their pistols out. I'm not sure what they have util out in their hands. And Baby Bay gets 3 as a result, right? So this is like kind of like unacceptable, and they really need to do better and like understand why A lobby control is like super important, and they need to consider all these possibilities, because this should never happen. Especially like at this level of play, right? And in VCT Iceland, you saw a lot of teams that were going ahead and doing similar plays, and they were hard fighting, like full 4v4, like I don't want to use the word team fights in an F-tac shooter, but team fights like over this space, right? They really knew, like if guard versus PRX was like a good example of that. This space on the map, A lobby, is pivotal in this in like map strategy, right? So you really need to, like, TSM really need to understand the importance of this part of the map, okay? So let's go ahead and talk about the other thing which TSM was like really doing, and this is going to be like me talking about choking, and they were avoiding fights, and they were just completely disregarding fundamentals under pressure, and I want to talk about this. So now, remember when I said they were stacked on the sides? Look at Faze Clan's trips on defense here. Look at TSM, all outside A lobby here, and there's a minute left on the clock, and Rossi has both shock darts. They did not attempt to even break any of the trips here. They're skipping steps, and this causes Faze Clan to be able to go ahead and stack 3 towards wherever they want. They can be towards C, and at least doubled up on C, or 3 towards A, doubled up on C. They can leave this entire space open. Again, I just want to go ahead and emphasize that since they are not breaking traps this entire game, basically, they don't have to worry about this part of the map at all. So now they're hitting A, and I'm going to show you exactly how they hit A, because this was very... I don't know how to put it. It's just they're skipping so many steps that it's just very unrealistic to hit a site like this. They drone short. Sova breaks it. Whenever someone breaks a drone, they're denying information, and you have to assume that they're baiting for someone. It's kind of conditioning too, because they might not always be, but you still have to like assume the possibility. Okay, especially if he breaks it that early. So TSM get the information that Sova's there. They didn't break any traps, and now they're 5 manning long. So as a result of this, Faze are just going to double up short now. So even though TSM go ahead and entry here on Jet, they didn't bait any Astra util either. They're not thinking about the opponent's utility. So Astra puts a smoke down, and then on top of the entry, Sky throws a flash on the entry, and then she throws a pull down as well. And since they have control of short, they know all of them are long, because guess what? They have control of short. Jet peeked it earlier as well. They have control of short. They know they're 5-man long right now. So Sky doesn't have to worry about them pushing her right now, because if you think about the line of sight, they didn't clear people short, so they will have first contact, right? And then she can peek off of the people short if she wants, or she can assist them with a flash and then peek herself, as well as the Astra going ahead and pulling... Sorry, it looks like a whole bunch of scribbles, but Astra pulling the rest of the team. So the rest of the team are not going to be able to go ahead and push out of this smoke into the pull without like severe repercussions. So let's go ahead and play out this round to show you what I mean. So here you'll see now they're trying to clear the people short, and you'll see 3 people trying to clear the people short right now. They're vulnerable right now. That icon right there is the vulnerable from the Astra pull, meaning they take double damage from a single bullet. So for instance, one body shot from a Vandal will do 80 damage, right? So it's insane right now, right? So now they're all looking at this one angle on short, and they just get cleaned up. So this is like very elementary stuff that I hope TSM fix, but there is still hope. And what I mean by that is there were definitely like bright moments for TSM, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of those as well. So if we go into Icebox, the reason why I thought TSM were going to win this series, and man, my predictions have been very, very, I'm jinxing a lot of teams, but TSM were definitely like a smarter team, and that's not taking away from Faze. I'm not trying to take away from Faze and being like, oh, they're smarter than you. Like that might not always be like the key to winning, believe it or not, especially in this genre of gameplay, but it definitely was like evident in Icebox where TSM were just maneuvering the map infinitely better and catching Faze with their pants down. So like for instance here, if you look at the mini map, you'll see that that's TSM's Viper attacking, and she's going into an empty A side, noticing that they're full rotating, and knowing that like their play style, like how they're playing, they're just kind of like hey, we stick together and we're gonna try and like out aim you sort of thing. That's how Faze plays really. They don't really have that deep level of strategy, and that's again not insult to Faze. It's just like the way it is, right? That's their team identity. They have insane players in Baby Bay and Dicey. It is what it is. But let's go ahead and play out this round. Like you'll see right now, Faze's weakness here. Subroza is on Viper on A right now, and he's telling his team, hey, I have all of A. Just come A. So they create a lot of pressure. They have the Viper wall here, and they just rotate A. They fast rotate A. None of their trips are broken. They did need to consider the op, and Subroza didn't calm that his... well, I'm not in the comms with him, but maybe it was miscommed that, hey, can you smoke mid? My orb is going down mid, because they know he's opping and he was watching the cross, so that's unfortunate. They do get one in return. But now, like, Subroza has this really forward position, and they're not really considering it right now. Here's the paranoia to try and stop. And then he tries and clears it. Catches him off guard. Now Baby Bay's opping rafters, trying to clear Subroza. He waits for his teammate. Gets the clear. And then 7 is going to go ahead and go nest. Gets a TP. They're playing post right now. It's a really close round. but TSM do end up getting it. They come up from an angle from maze. They have like a cross on bomb. Beautifully executed, good rotate, and they outmaneuvered them. They out-rotated them on the map. So there's still hope. And I think if you watch the rest of Icebox, you'll see that TSM, the way they beat Faze was just by outthinking them, outbraining them essentially, right? But again, don't give up on TSM right now. There is a bit of hope here. And I want to go ahead and talk a little bonus clip here. Bonus clip of analysis is like things they can work on too is their timing on the utility. They have the right idea, but their timing is off. Another thing, like again, this is a huge problem I talked about on Haven. Every team has a Sova lineup here that they do to break their kitchen, the trip kitchen. Rossi is not doing it. It's literally the Faze is putting the trap in the same place, and this is breakable. The trip that's the chamber trip like moves slightly bottom, like. So the lineup most pros are using, that one's not breakable. But obviously there are lineups for that one too that people are gonna start like learning and adjusting to. But Rossi like needs to work on his timing with his utility a bit more. So like for instance, this could have been a really good pick here. So they combo Viper Molly with Shock Dart, but the timing was a bit off, and as a result of this, hold on, the UI didn't update, but you'll see that. Poach actually lived with 62 HP, so he didn't quite get the timing right. The shock dart landed before the molly, so the vulnerable wasn't applied, so it didn't do double damage, right? But if it did do double damage here, he'd be insta-dead, right? So they could have worked from the timing a little bit better, and they can like take that out like do server work. If you don't know what server work is, it's basically like going into a custom game and just like trying it out with your teammates, and maybe doing like dry runs, for instance. If you wanted to go ahead and try and combo utility, you can try that too. But they definitely need to work on this a little bit more because the timing was a bit off. Faze's timing, by the way, was it's completely off with their utility usage, but yeah, this is definitely like steps that TSM can take to improve. And I think given time, especially since they are a new roster, they'll go ahead and do it. But again, thank you guys for watching this video so much. If you guys don't mind, like 99% of you guys who watch my videos are not subscribed. So please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to support me. I love making these videos and I'd love to do this more. So I'd really appreciate it if you liked for the algorithm, you commented, and you subscribed. All right. If you want to see, if you have any thoughts or comments, let me know in the comments too. And if you want to see another type of video, let me know that too. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.